All right, what's going on? You just caught me and I'm listening to everything. There's a lot going on this morning. Welcome to Chuck for Options. I'm Chuck. On that minute late for trying to set up my settings and everything. Where's the news channel? There we go. Pop. I was listening to Trump. Trump was on earlier this morning as well. That was interesting. I don't think I've looked at VIX in a while.
This is the inflows in semiconductor ETFs. This includes SOX, and SMH. The largest.
Somebody said I missed Steve Jobs. That's funny. Whoa. Oh, I need more waters in my fridge. Ooh. Ooh. Mm. Yo, car is crazy. Car's up like 500% in 1 month.
Well, we're seeing 76,000. Yes, Jensen talked about the Adobe CEO. Stories. We also have S&P 500 targets that have started to get increased. We did a podcast that was probably tomorrow. Someone $1 billion involved. Really smart guy. It's not a perma bear by or perma bull by weight breaks down during pictures and breaks down generally. Now it becomes very exciting to say, hey, what why very confident. Now, JP Morgan, they lifted their target 7,600. The upgrade is driven by strong momentum in AI stocks after an early award of Philadelphia. Kind of raise their targets, so they more excited based on earnings. So Deutsche Bank put out a report this morning as well. We looked at a couple of this. These stocks have great net all volume.
Mm.
Maybe that's yes. If we don't have a pullback, leverage that by what the market provides. People probably just take down money and put it into the market. Those people March 30th. The video right there, 202.45 again. Amazon is down because Amazon is launching their own down 6.5%. Dow is up, Nasdaq's up, but APO is not sure why that is up. Earnings across the board. At front, UNH is up 8.5%, and a lot of people are EPS. EPS plays 16% fee. 186 versus 160. That's the pay back. The guy. Yes, up 25% year rev, up 29%. Oh, sorry. Still not bad. They beat by 9%. Yes. 7.3 versus 6. Bad revenue. But GE crushed it. UNH crushed it on the top and bottom. They beat it. 3M also outspending some of the world. On yes, by 2% as well. This stock is down 6.1 here starting not for but we got 4 minutes until the market opens. Kevin 4th will be testifying today. Q&A for their opening pointers at 10 a.m. We're not going to listen to hours of the state because he will be chair of the Fed. This guy has a lot of different thoughts about the economy of the world. That's the guy who is for cutting rates. Trump did say this morning, if of course does not cut rates, he will be disappointed. So he is putting that burden on Kevin Morris. Now Kevin Morris has to deal with the Fed governor, a board of Fed governors that are more split with the idea of cutting rates. So we're going to see how he navigates it. Amazon right there, 4.7%. But today we'll get the first look for how he will think cutting rates. Webull again up 8% because of the rate cut for not the $100 million share buyback. You get rate cuts. All right, let me do a poll in the chat, red or green. I think it's a little confusing today because we were blistering green in the pre-market, and Trump went live and basically said that attacking tomorrow with the ceasefire and or how much Trump will extend the ceasefire. He does want to extend it. I kind of don't believe him. I think he does want to extend it. I don't really think we've come this far. I don't think come this far, and then we're going right back to bombing. Something that makes a lot of sense. Tesla up 1.69% in the market, 395. But hopefully we are able to get back down. Robinhood $90. That was at 92 in the pre-market. Oil right now is at 87. It's not that bad. I mean, oil 117 a couple weeks ago, 94 last week. Now we're at 87. We got to drop back to 90. So low 90. Very nice. Amazon right there, 2.79% again off that pump. Bloomberg put out a report this morning as well. Asset management exposure to S&P 500 declined to about $357 billion. Net positioning, 3 weeks of positive net flows have added around $40 billion of exposure back. Let's talk about the rate, obviously rates provided better to buy lots of equity because now they're systemic kind of exposed to buying more. With more than 20 billion added in the week from April 14th, the latest Mountain stock is yet reflected in this data confirmed that it's upwards potentially at a developed stage already. Goldman Sachs did say yesterday we expect to go back to rally on far. Again, not crazy for given had an incredible rally, but yesterday was the first red day of this rally. Down to 2, added to the pessimism of people back. Maybe we see it soon, but if we know and if the bulls continue to be in control, people continue to buy in. Money continues to come off the sideline, $200 billion just by like last week. All right, 20 seconds. 20 seconds until we get into it. 20 seconds of peace, silence, or Trump gapped a lot more than me today. But I still got some more gaps to do. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tuesday, April 21st, 9:30 a.m. The stock market is now.
All right, there's a couple things I'm looking at right now.
There you go. 40. There you go. 9.5 today. 4 days of the top and bottom on earnings. S&P 710. We're at 712 pre-market. Let's see if we just hold this level. Maybe make our way back above 711.
Yo, Iran be wildin'.
Get their hinge down 9% on Amazon. Now competitor, GLP-1, 14 stock once again.
All right. Whatever. We can keep that up there.
Nebius, that's up 1.6%. Reddit is up today. Amazon 253. Opens up a little bit down to 255.
All right. I'm looking for. Just keep dropping. Netflix still dropping. That's crazy. Meta MSTR. No, 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 no. What is SPY doing? Our ranges were 709 to 712. Where are we now? We have a gap up and we're at 709 right now. We hit a high of 7010. So that's a small window right there. That's a small gap to fill. All right, we're going to take our time. We're going to see where everything goes. That's a very small gap.
Adobe, that's now 1.4. Credo, that's green. Robin is down 3%. Robin is going down. The rest of the market kind of going down as you're seeing software and fintech on SoFi. Yesterday is up SoFi information report about cells for today. Micron, that's green. It's weird. Got Micron and Dell.
All right, what was I looking at? I want to take a look at. Yeah. All right. There's a lot of things going red right now. Apple, Tesla, App Lovin, Reddit, Oracle, Meta, Google, Nvidia, Iron, Nebius. I look at Oracle. We've been taking a big breather. Well, everything's taking a breather actually, except for SNDK. SNDK looked like it wants to push today.
Bloom Energy is up at least. Okay. Their strength. IGB 8649. That's a split green. Second flip the entire soft section. And SoFi will split green as well. Okay, that's good. Robin is still down 6%. Green. You know, the dips haven't lasted for long. Even yesterday, Mark ended red, but red was bottom. Video was bottom. Video was right here. Let's see if we can go over 203. So many of these names didn't stay red for long. Rocket Lab 8921, that one looks like it can definitely flip green right here. Navitas, that is up on the day 12%. Look at that. Getting some love right there. Navitas green. IONQ and the quantum names are red by about 2%. Here is Oscar, which they came out with a 8K confirmed their fiscal year 2026 guidance. That one goes 11 to 17 in about 2 weeks. Not too bad for Oscar. 5. Right there is car still halted. Okay, I finally called that would happen with car. This is a short squeeze, but not for retail. There are 2 hedge funds that own 95, and they basically crap out of whatever short the stock.
That's what happened with Car. That was an artificial short squeeze.
Doing the best. You had BTIG come out with a report on it. They said more attention is being paid to transport, but particularly the now large component of the transit index is being this budget. Stock with 100 bid margin growth looks like yesterday. We recognize there's a unique situation with 2 holders with a significant amount of shares. Thus, looking at this and free flow to as a result of that, we're seeing that stock holding right there. So, I mean, I wouldn't chase this right here.
What was this? Oh, car.
There is nothing fundamental about it. Oracle right there, 178. ASTS just went red. IT 650. Oracle still green. Forward as well, 119. SoFi 1970. That one flipped up. Really nice. That was red for a second. AMD is that 230. AMD. Sorry, 280. That's now AXTI did dilute yesterday. AXTI down another 6% today. Walmart 7 that's red. Circles
Come on, Simba.
percent. TSM 369. OSS that's $10. We'll see if we get any more
Always
headlines.
do that. You always wait till
I got one right here. Iranian government
after. Come on,
says
come on.
two lines of action warned the Pepsi both operate to serve as central goal.
Shut the door.
Any decision that is ultimately made must
I'm gonna shut the door.
We all aspire to minimize the damages as much as possible. This issue is not a trivial matter. It's clear that we do not
Hello, handsome face.
place, but if they do occur, we will certainly respond to reinforcement before. In other words, our defense forces are on full alert, and at the same time, we are protecting those. Okay, that's actually bullish. We're basically saying, look, we don't want to conduct negotiations, but if the U.S. attacks will happen. But the fact that they've admitted they're conducting negotiations, that's but higher. There are no. Service now, 100. Service now, 100.
So car halted apparently. Car halted.
Look at that. There you go. $71 on it. AP Pakistan-led mediator confirmed that U.S. VP and Iran parliament speaker will arrive on the bottom early Wednesday. The biggest question was, will the Iranian parliament be there? Looks like they are.
Okay, this is the VIX. I'm like, what the hell is acting weird like that? That's the VIX.
Gotta get the deal. Play service now. $100. Carvana playing in this car. That's still all 68. BE, yeah, that's wow. You know, there's a good stat I saw this morning. Well, I think it's important to stat all the time, but essentially the argument is buying at all-time highs is just way better than waiting. That goes since 1989. Bought at the all-time high, you outperform buying like on a basis when the market So since 1989, money invested when the market was at all-time high actually outperformed money invested on any other given day, which is kind of crazy. You would imagine that money invested on the low would outperform when you aggregate it in aggregation right here. Buys. Buying on an all-time high actually ends up outperforming long term. And the reason for that is you don't want to miss the round. Either round happening yesterday or or not. So very exciting to see some of this momentum continue to play through. 709 on the S&P as that continues to go up. Poet, my goodness, 23%.
That thing is still moving. Wow. No freaking way. No freaking way. Wow. That's incredible. Those poet contracts I had yesterday, they would have just killed. They would have killed. That's crazy.
Like it's just hard. That's the point. It's just hard. So I think you might have a lot of money on the sidelines. But you know what?
Wow, I should have kept those poet contracts yesterday. Damn.
Navitas 17%. Don't see the headline on this. Yes, Trump is already on CBC. If you scroll back over the show, 35 minutes. Anything that was that different. Market service now 101.85. 101.85. Service now 22% of those lows. That's a big move, dude. You're at 100. That's a lot of service now gains. Just made a lot of money for your clients. Got a really buy.
Yeah, that was a nasty sell-off on software.
Amcor 72.43. That one's not stopping. ALM2. That's continuing. Still breathing. Close to that loop right here. Being already that loop. I stocked up 50%. Yeah, I was. But beyond being 12% now. Caesars
What's this expiration date?
That's up 1.6. Meta 674. Trump just tweeted, never allow the traitor Democrats like low IQ people definitely find something or criticize offering midnight hammer, which totally obliterated nuclear dust location to the point where bloodthirst Iran had been able to get Twitter and dig it out. Space Force has cameras on every inch of the three sites that were so brilliant to hit last year. Navitas Semiconductor added former Broadcom senior VP Greg Fisher as independent director, bolstering its high power and AI chip next to it. I think that's why Navitas gets stronger. Well, bring on some account. Makes sense.
Look at this spike in VIX. Nvidia is moving down. VIX is spiking.
Continues to go up. Wolf Speed's up 5. Orbs now has $336 million of assets. More than 11,000 Bitcoin.
Hello, handsome face. What are you doing, Simba? Yeah, it's not looking good for Nvidia.
And I would imagine if Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Meta with all the 4 on April 29th crush, maybe going higher. All of them are probably still trying to get 280. UNH, 10%, 357. Congrats. Congrats. 1-6, a bit of time, patience. The Dow Jones, very close to 50. 49,824. I think it's under 50 for a second. Gets 356 right there. HR, that was 6.9. Needs to go up 5.8%. Not slowing down. In fact, green pounds here at 147.37. Seems to get 150 trade for them for a while. ASTS back to 83. I mean, it's 9:48, 18 minutes since the market opened, and a lot of those red candles. I mean, they're flipping green, blue, green. SMCI minus 30 bucks. Okta, that's green. Amazon 53. United Healthcare 10%. Tesla 5. Microsoft was red. Now green. Counter was red. Now it's green. Oscar. The 15 yesterday, 10. Bulls aren't just letting this go. It's not. It's letting go. Downside action. Bloom Energy up for car unhalted $708.
No way.
17% today.
Car went up that much. That's incredible. This is a crazy squeeze. This is crazy money. You can't afford none of that.
Novo, that's down to about 2%. Uber's up 1.5. And Tempest also up 1%. Is that Thanksgiving? Yeah, but it's not retail driven.
Yeah, I'm not touching Google. I might touch Meta, some Tesla.
The question is, when do they sell? Two owners own. There's 2 funds that own most of that stock. When do they sell? Adobe right there, 250. Trying to get back up to 250. Zeta was red. Zeta is now green. Software dips get bottom. So is that considered a pump and dump? Yeah, pretty much, but pump and dump really have to do with more your public. So pump and dump is like, say you're bullish on a stock, buy it, tell everyone, and as soon as they buy it, that's like those legal definitions. If you're a hedge fund and for months you're accumulating shares in the company, knowing that that's what's called the short squeeze, and then you don't kind of publicize that you're doing this, kind of let it happen.
Oh no, what a reverse from SNDK. What a reverse.
Not really a pump and dump. Sense. So I don't know if versus Lauren Kitty publicly said I'm buying GameStop. He just never sold. Yes, he's really. If he had sold when he went live and said GameStop, yes, he's done. Because he done it. Corby right there, 116. 116. Open door, are you getting a pump? Open door a little bit, 5%. Chris said. just below 700, but that is green. Pounds are 147. 1 year twos. Go up. Equal weight S&P RSP eyes first record since February. A while. Got back to those highs. 205 right there. IGB, what a recovery here. Look at that. 2% IGB down. So nice. Software's not stuff that just ends up cycle dropping. I mean, if the and remember last week Anthropic released 4.7 on Friday, software didn't run. So if we are finally done with this nonsense, Anthropic is putting every software name every time they say something, but these stocks probably fire. Soundhound up 4, Barbell up 3. Barbell up 3 as well. Netflix down again. Wow. 93.99, lower than where it was last Thursday.
Oh, Netflix still falling? That's crazy.
Also, retail bump that says I have a lot of retail things. Back, respond back. Tesla right there, 391. Tesla, 391. Suraj, thank you for the super chat. Just far back a bit. I love no homo. I guess car back for a while. Open door still making a move. We don't have any macro data today. We did have data that we talked about earlier this morning. 56,000 jobs we added. Private payrolls. This is up from 40,000 last week. This is the fifth place. Retail's overall wasn't expected. So we had 4 jobs and retail's back to third. Look at that. This is when you know it's a bull market. This looks like that's very good. Wow, pounds here. Are we going for 148? Are we going for it here?
What are they talking about?
CrowdStrike pounds here. Datadog, service temple, then back to 710. Oracle gets benefit from that, so I software name damn gone. SpaceX draft IPO says Elon Musk bought 1.4 billion employee shares last year. Received 60 million more shares. Company market cap times for 6.6 billion. The filing also points to a dual-class structure that would give us super low. I think the FOMO on ASDS rock class and that entire space race is $284 and going to be massive. Like we've been talking about this for months. Part of the reason I bought rock class marched in, and part of the reason I bought ASDS last week. I think the FOMO is going to be heavy. When SpaceX goes public and that thing opens up at 2.5 billion, which valuation wise not make sense, but nonetheless, it's probably going to happen. Everything in space is going to happen. And I don't think it's crazy as a short-term trade to have some space. The prices are kind of crazy. I don't think I probably are actually seeing the prices that are being shown right now. But if the momentum comes towards space, people are going to want to And realistically, if the underwriters on SpaceX think they can raise 75 million IPO, Elon's confident at 6.6 trillion. They must feel really confident. And if there's not, it's going to be heavy. But if there Microsoft 423, Amazon. Kevin Warsh is going to be on at 10 a.m. We got about 5 minutes. We'll see what Kevin Warsh says. I don't think he'll say anything that can necessarily tank the market. If anything, I think Kevin Warsh can up the market because he's a hawk, but he's real. From my research, AI being fun. And I hope he talks about this because if he does, basically signals to everybody. They're getting ready. Great time. So my economic history around any level of innovation and as a result of level of inflation that we're going to see as an economy, which means we need lower rates. And guess what? That means both stocks tend to bid, whether they think they deserve it or not. Cost of capital goes down, people are going to start buying more equities. So maybe that's also why Trump picked it to be. Maybe, I've been trying to figure out why did Trump pick this? Because he sees that it's so hot. And I think the reason is because it's so easy.
Oh, wow. I didn't know this went up that much.
Rather this macro technological tailwind of AI. Maybe some of the other Fed chairs like Rick Reader that's like more stuff job. SMCI up 2.84, POET down from 11, but still up 20% of the day, and then pound here 148. Wow, service now 104.
Hello, handsome.
Put in the chat, you're going to be buying the SpaceX live company. Put in the chat. Or if your exposure. Yeah, curious to see how many people are going to buy the regardless. Vastly also get a little bit more for buy. Yes, yes, yes. No, hell no, hell no. Or you rock left, or you rock left. Okay, so a lot of you guys are gonna win. I think a lot of other people are gonna win. Commercial economy is getting a lot more people excited. This thing, like semiconductors weren't exciting to invest in until realistically that's always had a cyclical narrative. When ChatGPT came out, everyone realized a lot of semiconductors, a lot of new thing. If space as an economy starts to form, and the AMDs, the NVIDIAs, the Broadcoms, or the SpaceX, the Rocket Labs, the ASTSs, then maybe those names get utilized. But they're gonna eventually have to go
Get the fuck out of here.
Microsoft
Microsoft is moving. Why are you wet? Why are you wet?
Oh, by the way, Jeff Bezos raising
Cat. Mm. Microsoft is kind of moving.
By the way, Morgan Stanley put out a chart this morning. They also think
Wow, CrowdStrike is really going off. I should have been jumped on these. Yeah, these puppies are moving. I think it's up 6%. Yeah, 5.5%. So that was the breakout. We're getting fed your wash in a couple minutes.
Look, I watched a bunch of videos. I don't think he's going to get that next year. I wonder how long. Pretty optimistic around the guy. Good for rates. It's kind of playing both sides. Or Hawkins a while. I'm just going to have to punch back. Pretty upset you from can't pick this guy. The baby horse still got the memo. Oh yeah, we are getting the Pentagon budget today for defense. 1.5 trillion is the number. Includes 68 billion for okay, so we're gonna get a lot more today. Around 1.5 trillion is also very bullish. Outthere, Rado, nice a lot. Defense contractors, space sector, defense contractor, Rocket Lab, Dome, Andro. If we actually spend almost 2 trillion on defense, it's gonna be a lot of defense contractors.
Who is this? What are they listening to?
Yeah, very bullish space. So I'll try to get the exact details of that 1.5 trillion. The horse is still not live yet, not talked yet. He starts talking about senators are talking. Why cybersecurity moment today? Honestly, I think it's part of the Windows model. Cybersecurity.
I'm listening to a lot of different things right now, and everything is kind of there's a lot going on. So I'm just gonna focus on what I gotta do.
Why is Open Door up? I don't think there's a specific reason other than high beta getting some love. Pending home sales were up 1.5%. 5%. March pending home sales 1.5. That's 100 basis point increase AMD 281. Pentagon defense budget includes autonomous warfare for 55 billion. They're requesting 85 F-35 aircrafts and 6.1 billion next gen bomber. Microsoft 423 2.8 at 354 against pending home sales. We're up 1.5% month to month. March. Good for Lennar. Oh, QXO, by the way. Brad Jacobs. I've never listened to an interview with
Hmm.
that guy. They did an acquisition yesterday for DLB. Spent $17 billion. He went on CNBC and literally said the reason the stock right now was shorts, and I love season shorts. I didn't know that guy was that type of guy. Most CEOs that are like some up on the stock, shorts, like he straight up said, yeah, I love season shorts. That's going to be kind of interesting. I already know the rock stuff. Stocks for the discount based on the acquisition. Now you have to do no Steve likes that name. Yeah, outthere 50% of the pretty impressed. Wow, pounds are 149. Let me check 150 resistance. Getting 150 as 40,000. Yes, we know. We're still not live yet.
All right, I have some placements out, but I don't have.
IoT, that's making a little bit of a run today, 4% more.
Oh wow.
UPS and FedEx have begun filing for tariff refunds. We've got about $167 billion that will start being refunded. Theoretically, going to explode our debt. Not the worst thing. S&P 711. See if we can break 712 as the pre-market high. Yeah, SoFi will have earnings on April 20th. SoFi in the morning. Fed, Jay Powell evening. I think it's one of his last meetings. And you can have his Fed here. And then you have Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Meta, Qualcomm, Chipotle, Carvana, Cheesecake, Teladoc, Sprouts Farmers. You just have so much that name. Still don't have Wars 5. AMD 281. The pounds are very close to 150. Oscar 679. Got 51. Further. Robin just tweeted, we've seen your questions and want to provide an update on upcoming pattern decrease rule change. The $25,000 equity requirement bonus way out or have been building for the testing for standing by. D-Wave down a little bit on the day. Oracle 181.
Ooh.
Okay, some more updates on SpaceX.
I was looking at some Weebles.
A stock incentive for every 500 billion market cap, which goes as high as 6.6 trillion, about 60 shares. And then if the space data centers can deliver, wow, 100 terawatts of
Microsoft is moving.
100 terawatts per year. We can barely do 1 gigawatt.
Tesla's moving.
1 gigawatt being like space station deliver 100 terawatts without that must get incentive every 5 years.
What's today's date?
I mean, dude, if he does that, he deserves it. The level of level X, because one data center. It's kind of remind me of Tesla 2018. No one thought they actually sell that car. I think the market cap gets 350 million. Got his package barbell right there. That's a 4%. Yes, 1,000. So he's talking about 100 terawatts, which is 10,000 gigawatts per year in space. That is great. We don't even have the infrastructure to really have fast in space. That's the problem. You're not really there yet. And you know, the other way I think they get a higher market cap is obviously by merging them with the other debit market. Makes sense, but service now 103.79.
Yeah, we will drop and drop on.
Yeah, so it's 1 terawatt. It's not once, it's per year. It sounds kind of crazy. IGB is still at 2.4. Okay, let's go to the Senate hearing. Not live yet. That's about a 12% right now. Well, okay.
I said that boy don't know what he's talking about. I gotta choose one. Everyone's listening to the Senate right now. Senate confirmation hearing for Fed Chairman nominee Kevin Warsh kicks off. Kicks off. Wow, they said that on CNBC. That's different. All right. Huh, huh. Wow. Hmm. Okay. I see you. I see you, cuz. I see you, cuz. No freaking way. Incredible. I see you, cuz. I'm on your top dizzy now. I'm on your top dizzy now.
Okay, well, wait a couple minutes to see if we can get more. I think they have another couple senators. Opening statement 732 on cars halted again.
Wow, car halted again.
Just going up. So this is what the Wall Street Journal reported on this morning. Because SRS, which is the hedge fund insider, has two representatives on board. It likely cannot sell any shares during March's current quiet period ahead of the first quarter results. We also note that SRS only has sold shares in Fund 1 initially in state. That's the sale of 1 million shares on based on our interpretation of the vids price that and one sells a hard stock for insider status. So yeah, it looks like this car
Mm.
Are they not allowed to dilute? That's a good question. If I'm the board of directors of car, why wouldn't I issue a couple hundred million? It gets swallowed up really quick, right? That's a good question. Yeah, well, the hedge fund though, SRS has two representatives on the board. Usually to dilute before approval, representatives don't vote. It's kind of crazy, dude. This institution probably doesn't have cars out. Just love that this news is happening out. CoreWeave right there, 117, Oracle 181, Bitcoin 76,200. What is car? It's a rental car. CSM not getting any love after the learning. Let me smaller something. Can they resign before themselves? No, they still have 10%. Like as soon as you get 10% bonus, that would file for it.
Excuse me.
Now he tosses up because they hired a brotha.
Excuse me, Simby Wimby.
Some stats on the semis. So SOX, semiconductor, 34%. It's 42% above the 2000.com of 195 on ratio relative to S&P. Is that one? So the stocks over the S&P is at 155. So people are piling these cars on halted. Let's see where it goes. Going up.
Cars going up still. That's sick. 740. That's sick. It gapped up. They just halted it. They halted it right here, 1013. 1018. It gapped up. That's crazy. A gap in the middle of the day.
But retail investors see that that's expensive. Right? So, and this kind of what happens when absurd expectations. Retail went well, it doesn't. Rich. But he took a chance on him. He did it. A lot of retail got rich. What if that's the same time? But big but valuation is a little different here. But if the same sort of qualitative analysis applies, that on
It's gonna be a long day.
S&P also at 710.
Crazy. That car move is crazy, but those contracts are fucking 4,000, 5,000. I think the cheapest contract I've seen, like anywhere in there, was like maybe 20, like 800 or something like that. I mean, if you would have put money before that gap up, and then I mean, you definitely killed it. I mean, sheesh. If you had money in general, there's a couple places you can just put it and then just let it sit. Do you like the window open or closed, Simba? Let me know, buddy. I wanted to close it because I want to see how you're going to react to it. Is Warsh here? All right, Warsh is live now. Potential new Fed chair. Oh, and the market's going to react too. This is actually important.
Her personal accomplishments. I reciprocate that with somewhat of my own love, though I'm a little more stoic than she. And about every 20 years, I reintroduce her to this committee. She sat behind me 20 years ago, and it was almost 20 years ago to the day. And so let me offer today what I said then. Jane, happy anniversary. I'm also thinking of my late mom and dad. They were paying great attention to this hearing 20 years ago. They're no longer with us, but I was always proud of them and the values they taught me, and I hope they'd be proud of me today. We start today with a note of broad agreement, even though we might have heard different narratives at the outset of this hearing. This is a time of great consequence for the nation's economy. As a former Fed governor and friend or colleague of the last 5 Fed chiefs, from whom I've learned plenty of lessons, I'm particularly alert to the challenges and opportunities confronting the institution that I cherish, the Federal Reserve. To the President, to the Congress, the nation, I owe my best judgment and my most faithful efforts in serving the mission that you and Congress assigned to the Federal Reserve, including full employment and stable prices. The American people are counting on the Fed to deliver on its commitments, perhaps now more than ever. The real highlights of my life are not on my resume, as Senator McCormick said. They include the individuals with whom I worked and from whom I learned. I graduated from high school in upstate New York. I had some exceptional teachers there and some brilliant classmates. I've learned we're lucky in life if we start out with good influences in learning and in character. A public school education gave me both of these, and I'm grateful. I made my way to Stanford and found myself in the company of some of the most highly accomplished economists and policymakers. George Shultz, former Secretary of State and Treasury, was among the great patriots at the Hoover Institution, who I came to know as a teacher, mentor, and friend. He passed away right after COVID at age 100, but I still feel him with me. I could not have imagined a better formative experience than working from and learning from folks like him. I could tell you about all the things I learned, but maybe the most important was to be around people completely devoted to the ideas and ideals of our country. Silicon Valley in the early 90s, another fitting backdrop for all of the things we confront today. I found myself in the right place at the right time. The US was at the vanguard of a new era of technological leadership, and I just looked out my door to see it. And in the last 15 years, I've gained deep experience in macro and in markets, working with Stan Druckenmiller. He never held a position in government, but is no less a patriot. He never got a PhD in economics, but I don't know a finer economic thinker. Without their guidance and the guidance of Condi Rice, my friend, and I should say my boss at the Hoover Institution, I doubt I would be sitting before you today as the president's Fed chairman nominee. But I'm certain of one thing. Absent their tutelage, absent their example, I would not be as prepared for the urgent, mission-critical task at hand. In between these bookend experiences, I served quite a while ago as a governor at the Federal Reserve. At the onset of the financial crisis, as Senator Warren said, our central bank played an indispensable role, and we benefited enormously from the credibility that our predecessors had built up and passed down to us, governors of the Fed at the time. In these unusual and exigent circumstances, I saw the Fed and its people at their very best. But I also witnessed an institution that was tempted to play a larger role in the economy and society. So let me be very clear. Monetary policy independence is essential. Monetary policy makers must act in the nation's interest. Their decisions the product of rigor, deliberation, and unclouded decision-making. And as Senator Warren said, I do not believe that independence of monetary policy is threatened when elected officials state their views on rates. Fed independence is up to the Fed. That has three implications. First, Congress is tasked with the mission to ensure price stability. Inflation is the Fed's choice. Second, Fed independence is at its peak in the conduct of monetary policy. And third, as the chairman said, the Fed must stay in its lane. I'm committed to ensuring that the conduct of monetary policy remains strictly independent. Equally committed to work with the administration and Congress on non-monetary matters that are part of the Fed's remit, and I commit myself to accountability. Finally, I'll just say this, Mr. Chairman. Milton Friedman had a phrase that always stayed with me. He always worried about government officials that lured and hung around with what he called the tyranny of the status quo. Status quo practices and policies are especially harmful when the world is changing this fast. If confirmed as chairman, I will be faithful to the Constitution, to the Federal Reserve Act, and to the very best of the Fed's traditions. I believe a reform-oriented Fed can make a real difference to the American people. And if confirmed, I will seek to create an environment in which the best people do their best work. Candor and goodwill will go a long way in pursuing those objectives. And I suspect this hearing, Mr. Chairman, will put us to the test. It's a real privilege to be here.
Thank you, sir. I will say that we typically stick to a 5-minute opening comments. I would encourage all of us to stick with our 5 minutes as it relates to our question and answers. We have full attendance today, and it's going to be really important for us to stick as closely to the 5 minutes as possible. If we go over by much, you'll hear me, which is an indication that you're already over. And I'll do my very best to keep us on time. Kevin, there are so many questions to talk to you about, to ask you about, to be honest with you. And I just want to name a couple of them, and we'll look forward to hearing more on these topics. I will not have enough time to delve into some of the most important issues facing our country. I'll take two of those issues and focus my time. I'm sure my colleagues on either side will have a conversation with you and ask questions about AI. The AI future is going to have massive impact on where we go as a nation. It's got a massive impact on your dual mandate as it relates to full employment. Our production may go up while our employment stays flat. So this is
I'm not sure why Larry Fitz is there, but he is. So I don't know. For everyone asking, I have no idea, but I guess he's there to figure out if we lower rates or not.
reserve. Too much attention has been paid to your balance sheet and not enough attention has been paid to the nation's balance sheet. I think it's really important for us to dig into that issue as well. Digital assets, the future of finance in the world seems to have a major component of it being digital assets. The market structure legislation, we don't want your comment on, but the important role of the blockchain in the future is another really important part of the future of our economy. I will spend some time talking about affordability and the importance of the independence of the Fed. One of the things I've appreciated about your previous comments is the importance that you have placed on the dual mandate, stable prices, which typically comes through the form of interest rate changes, as well as promoting maximum employment. I think those two will become more challenging in the current environment. One, obviously, the second one being the AI and the future of full employment. You've criticized the Federal Reserve for getting too big, mismanaging inflation. I'm sure you know the definition of transitory, so I won't ask you, but I got a feeling you know, and some of your predecessors did not. Compromising the independence of the Fed. I think we should spend more time on finance, less time on climate change, on politics, on who is or who's not in charge. I think you would agree on those issues, though I will not ask you. I will ask you, however, that under your leadership, how will you steer the Federal Reserve to address the real life issues of affordability is my first question. And my second question will be about how do you make sure that the Federal Reserve stays out of the lane of external influences?
Mhm. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's probably no more pressing question than the cost of living. We know at the Federal Reserve that price stability was an objective that you and your colleagues gave to the Fed. So when over the course of the last several years, especially after COVID, when prices went up to the tune of 25 to 35% for virtually all deciles of the American people, that's an indication that the Fed missed its mark. And we are still dealing with the legacy of the policy errors in 2021 and 2022. Once you let inflation take hold in the economy, it's more expensive and harder to bring it down. And so the fatal policy error going back 4 or 5 years is still a legacy that we're dealing with. We need, in my judgment, fundamental policy reforms to fix it. And while it's true that inflation is less problematic, meaning the rate of change in prices is less severe than it was some years ago, hardworking Americans are no doubt feeling it. I think that means a regime change in the conduct of policy. I think that means a different new inflation framework. I look forward to working with my colleagues at the Fed, if confirmed, to achieve that. I think it means, as you suggested, using tools differently. The Fed has an interest rate tool and a balance sheet tool. My view is the interest rate tool gets in the cracks. It's fairer. The balance sheet tool disproportionately helps those with financial assets. The interest rate tool hits the entire economy. So we need a new framework, new tools, and I'd also say, Mr. Chairman, new communications.
Yes.
I think part of the reason why, after making a mistake in 2021 and 22, the mistake was compounded is the Fed gives its forward guidance. The Fed tells the whole world what their dots are going to be, what their forecasts are going to be. Well, the Fed's human. Then they hold on to those forecasts longer than they should. I think if the Fed were to wait until it gets into a meeting before making a decision, that incremental deliberation can keep the central bank from compounding its errors. I think these are big changes that are needed, and if confirmed, I look forward to doing it.
Thank you very much. Ranking Member Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the Fed has been plagued by deeply disturbing ethics scandals in recent years involving at least 6 Fed officials. So it's critical that the next chair have no financial conflicts, none. You have more than $100 million in investments that you have refused to disclose to ethics officials and to the public. So let me ask, do the Juggernaut Fund or the THSDFS LLC invest in any companies affiliated with President Trump or his family? Companies that have
She's spitting some
facilitated
shit right
money
now.
laundering, Chinese-controlled companies, or financing vehicles established by Jeffrey Epstein?
Senator Warren, thank you. So let me first share a point of agreement with you. The Fed has two tools. One is its monetary policy, and the second is its credibility. And the scandals that you talked about, the ethics
Mr.
problems
Walsh,
you
I
talked about,
appreciate that, but I have
went to the
very
core of the
limited
credibility that has hurt the
Could you
Fed.
answer my question, please? I asked. You have $100 million in undisclosed assets. And what I'm asking is, are any of those with this outfit that invests in companies affiliated with President Trump or his family, companies that have facilitated money laundering, Chinese-controlled companies, or financing vehicles set up by Jeffrey Epstein? It's a yes or no question.
Senator, I have worked tirelessly with the ethics officials at the Office of Government
Yes,
Ethics.
and you have not
come to an
revealed
ethics agreement with
$100 million
them and
in
have agreed,
assets.
Senator, to sell all of
That's
my
not
financial
my
assets,
question. Mr.
including
Walsh, are
the
you
Duquesne
refusing
assets.
to tell us if you have investments, for example, in vehicles set up
Oh,
to
this is
finance Jeffrey
money.
Epstein? Is that what you're telling us? You just won't tell us?
Senator, what I'm telling you is that those assets that you represent at Juggernaut will be sold if I'm confirmed before I take office and sign the oath of office.
Let me follow up on that. Will you at least disclose how you plan to disclose and divest these secret assets? I'm sure you understand that the public might question your motives if, for example, billionaire Stanley Druckenmiller, who you honored in your opening statement, and who makes a living guessing what the Fed will do next, cuts you a massive check for $100 million as you take the oath of office to become the new Federal Reserve Chair.
Senator, as you know, it sounds like your fight might not be with me, but the Office of Government Ethics. I have come to full agreement with them and have agreed to divest all of those assets,
I'm asking you
especially
a very
those that you
straightforward
referenced
question,
before I
Mr.
take the oath
Warsh,
of office.
and that is, will you disclose how you divest those assets, or will you just collect a check for $100 million from someone whose whole business is betting on what the Fed will do?
As I said to the ethics officials at the Federal Reserve and the Office of Government Ethics, they agreed,
I'll take that as a
I would
no
be
as well.
redeeming my
So
assets
Donald
before
Trump
I take
has
office.
made clear that he does not want an independent Fed. In fact, he has said, and I quote, "Anybody that disagrees with me will never be Fed chairman." And he's made clear that you are his sock puppet, saying last week that interest rates will drop, quote, "when Kevin gets in." Yeah, I think they do. Not when economic conditions change, we'll get lower rates. Not when the economy needs it. Nope. He said, when my guy, Kevin Warsh, is in there, we'll get the interest rates that I, Donald Trump, wants. So independence takes courage. Let's check out your independence and your courage. We'll start easy. Mr. Warsh, did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
We try to keep politics, if I'm confirmed, out of the Federal
I'm just
Reserve.
asking a factual question. I need to know, I need to measure your independence and your courage.
Senator, I believe that this body certified that election many years ago.
That's not the question I'm asking. I'm asking, did Donald Trump lose in 2020?
And I'm suggesting you in 2020, the Fed made a huge inflation problem, and you certified the election.
So let me ask you another question.
Out of monetary policy.
In our meeting, you said you would be independent because you're, quote, a tough guy. Those were your words, tough guy. And you will be able to stand up to President Trump. So let's try it again. Name one aspect of President Trump's economic agenda with which you disagree.
Well, Senator, the Federal Reserve in recent years has wandered outside of its remit, wandered into other areas.
I'm asking for something
That's not something I'm prepared to do.
Trump on.
If I'm confirmed, the Federal Reserve should stay in its lane.
Just one little place where you disagree with Donald Trump.
Well, I do have a disagreement, actually, Senator, with the president. I think even this morning, he said that he thought I was out of central casting. I think central casting, I'd look older, grayer, and maybe show up here with a cigar of sorts.
Quite adorable. But you know, we need a Fed chair who is independent. That's the only way we preserve the independence of the Federal Reserve. If you can't answer these questions, you don't have the courage and you don't have the independence.
I agree with you on independence, Senator.
Senator Rounds.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Wow.
And, I appreciated the opportunity to visit with you personally in the office. I agree with you, and I think Fed independence is critical. And I think that's an item that you and I agree on wholeheartedly. I want to take an opportunity just to kind of perhaps give you an opportunity to respond. I know that the ranking member had a number of items that she expressed concerns with. I'd like to give you an opportunity to just kind of work this way through. And let me just ask you a few questions, and I'll allow you to take the time to fully answer the questions. As I understand, Mr. Warsh, you worked with the
dude, so many puppets, bro. I'm in this dude's chat. Oh my God, he's pro-Trump. And all these followers, they're pro-Trump too. A lot of them, not all of them. That's good.
Fed ethics officials first.
A lot of them, though. My goodness.
The Office of Government Ethics answered all of their questions, and then they wrote up an ethics agreement, which is part of the public record. Yes, I agree with Senator Warren on the ethical questions that have been raised over the last several years by several people that were members of the FOMC, so that there's no question about my independence, no question about the clarity of my financial record. I agreed to divest virtually all of my financial assets, the large majority of which will be divested before I raise my right hand and am sworn into office if confirmed by this body. So I've gone above and beyond, not for any other special reason other than the Fed needs to.
Yeah, I don't think the market's gonna like this.
Because the conduct of policy depends on it.
So let me just, for the record, the agreement which you have signed clearly states that you have agreed to divest your assets that are in question within 90 days of confirmation if you have not already divested them. That is correct.
Yes, Senator. And in fact, the large majority of those assets will be divested before I am sworn into office if confirmed.
Thank you. The career ethics professionals were the ones that basically had sent your signed paperwork to this committee's chief clerk. I really question whether or not they would have done that if they did not come to the ethics agreement with you in the first place, correct?
Yes, I presume that's right. We had a very good working relationship, and I'm happy to be sitting after the divestiture and cash or T-bills or whatever is the permitted asset, so we can get back to the business of fixing the Fed, reforming an institution that has lost its way a bit, that has missed the mark. As Chairman Scott said at the outset, this inflation risk is still something that's being talked about around kitchen tables and boardrooms. My preferred definition of stable prices is a little different than most academics. I believe that price stability should be a change in prices such that no one's talking about it. That's an old-fashioned definition, but I think it's still valid. The sooner that we can reform the institution with my colleagues, if confirmed, the sooner we can ensure price stability, and we can have a new set of leaders atop the institution with high, credible, ethical standards to return the Fed to what it should be. The independence that both Chairman Scott and Senator Warren mentioned, critically important. But independence has to be earned, and it's earned by delivering on the promises, the commitments that the Fed has made. And as the Fed hasn't delivered on those promises, we shouldn't be surprised that we hear politics that are entering the room at the Fed. We need to get the politics out of it so the Fed can focus on its day job, deliver on full employment and stable prices.
It's true that people want to see stability within the Fed, but is it okay for a Fed governor or a chairman to change their mind on a particular policy?
It's more than okay, it's essential. Economics is not physics, it's not math. Frankly, most of us that ended up in the economics business, we started like I did as a math major. It was too hard. So we ended up in economics. In economics, what we need to do is focus the left of the decimal point, not to the right of the decimal point. We need to focus on the big things. And if mistakes are made, central bankers, economic policymakers need to correct them fast. The real mistakes, the mistakes that cause inflation to be persistent, to undermine hardworking Americans' standard of living, is when those mistakes go on.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Senator Reed.
Mr. Chairman, before we start the next question, I ask that we have entered into the record the U.S. Office of Government Ethics certification, which requires that all nominees disclose all of their assets and showing that Mr. Warsh is out of compliance and that he has not met the ethics requirements.
Without objection, I will note, however, that what has been clearly articulated is that he will, according to his agreement with OGE.
This is awesome. This is awesome. This isn't even entertainment. This is crazy.
But to divest himself from any assets that are in question.
I think I'm gonna go get
Mr.
me some
Chairman,
food. I need some breakfast anyway.
Nominees
This is
who are
crazy.
out of compliance and not disclosing at the time they come before the hearing.
Not on this committee, that's correct.
Not in this committee.
Before we, here's what we're not going to do.
Fair enough.
We're not going to have two chairmen, for sure.
Just ask.
Number one. Number two, what we're also not going to do is debate what we're putting into the record. And finally, what we are going to do is have a conversation about America's economy. And frankly, we all deserve the opportunity to ask our questions. We don't get to figure out the answers, but we do get to ask our questions. And I hope that we are able to continue in that direction. As long as we are, we're going to have a very good hearing. And if we're not, then I will find a way to help us expedite getting back on track. Senator Reed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Walsh. Until you dispose of all the assets you've identified to the Office of Government Ethics, you will not be in compliance. Is that correct?
Wow.